Welcome, everybody, to the Fantasy Football War Room Podcast. I'm your host, James, and with me, I've got Frank.
Hey now.
Nick.
How's it going, everybody?
And Chris.
Pronto.
How you guys doing today?
Not too
Good.
bad.
No complaints.
It's good.
Average.
You guys ready? Average? That's good. Yeah, usually about average.
You know, it was a nice weekend. Beautiful weather for a birthday weekend, so I can't complain. I never usually get spring weather for a winter birthday.
That's right. You turned
Yeah.
67 on the weekend there?
Yeah, good ripe old age of 67. Still
More
feeling nice and
years, man.
spry.
2 more years.
My back is probably 67.
Nah, that's at least 80 right now.
Exactly.
Toast.
That's all right. We're missing one of our regulars here. Does anyone have a quote to pick up for him? Did anyone pick up one? Or
No, I didn't.
I did not. I didn't think we should, He's our quote
one of
guy.
us should have picked up for him. Well, it's okay. That means Sam might have to give us two next episode to make up for it.
Yeah, he's having a shitty time at here.
We'll carry on, but let's get into what we're here for. Let's talk about some football. We're going to be heading into our rookie running backs, numbers 5 to 1. These are the big dogs, so I'm looking forward to talking about this one. At rookie running back number 5 on our list, Kenneth Gainwell from Memphis, 5'11", 191 pounds. In his 2 seasons at Memphis, his first season he was only played in 4 games, had rushed for 91 yards and a touchdown. And in his second, he rushed for 1,459 yards, 13 touchdowns. He caught for 610 yards and 3 touchdowns. Guys, what do you have on Gainwell?
Having Kenny G coming in as the 4th to 6th RB drafted in the NFL, Gainwell is going to be the beneficiary of landing in a great situation on a good team. Given the fact that he opted out and is still valued pretty highly, there's no doubt that the sweet, smooth hands and feet of Kenny G would be fighting to be mentioned in the top 3 spot at these running back positions. Memphis used him a lot as a pass catcher in the screen and in the slot, and that bodes well for his success in the NFL, as he's also a good runner out of the backfield. Coming out of high school, Kenneth Gainwell was a QB, so that right there says to me that he has an understanding of the game at a higher level than most at the position, and you see that in his vision and his creativity in space. Due to his size, a team that already has an established goal line banger would be wise to take a look at Kenny Gainwell. He's going to be fantasy gold, drafting him as the 3rd to 6th RB in the class. In 2019, he took over the backfield in Memphis with then NFL top 10 fantasy running back Antonio Gibson already in the backfield. He's going to benefit from a situation. If he can get into a situation like they used Christian McCaffrey in Carolina, Kenneth Gainwell could flourish and he could be PPR gold. In his 2019 season, he posted 51 receptions, 610 yards, and 3 TDs in 14 games played. He did finish with a career dominator rating of 27%, which is 2nd highest in the class. But that 2019 season, he finished first in the ACC in scrimmage yards with 2,069, 3rd in TDs, and he counted for 71% of the running back production, and he finished with a dominator rating of 51%, which pretty much means he was half of the team's offense, both running and catching. So he was a big part of the package. He was a big part of the team. He was a big part of the production. The only thing that will really hurt him at the next level is his lack of elite size, and his pass blocking is a little bit suspect. But if he can work in that area, he can definitely succeed at the next level. Maybe not as a premier 3-down back, but definitely an accent role that's going to get you the points that you need to win out week in and week out.
Yeah, I mean, those are some great points about him. I don't really have much more else on him that I found other than, like you're saying, yeah, his size is really what's making him that much less of, that elite type of back that can be a 3-down rushing back. So other than that, I mean, there has been some tendencies where he kind of overruns himself, where he's making his moves and he kind of almost trips himself over because he's overrunning himself. But yeah, if he can find a way to put on some mass, put on some weight, and build that frame up even more, I honestly can see him as a 3-down back in the NFL because of all the traits he has with it and all the the knowledge and everything, like you said, that vision, that knowledge of him being the quarterback and knowing all that stuff. So I definitely can see that happening if he can find a way to build up that mass and that body frame.
Yeah, especially with the way that the new NFL is going, a player like Kenneth Gainwell could definitely fit a role like a Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like I said, he's a little smaller than Christian McCaffrey, but if he can get into a situation like that where they use him like that, he could definitely put himself into that top tier talk.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, well done, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing how where he gets drafted. At number 4, we got a little Canadian content. Chuba Hubbard, out of Oklahoma State, 6 feet, 208 pounds. He was a Heisman voting. He finished 8th in 2019. For his statistics throughout his college, he had an average of 3,459 rushing yards, 33 TDs, 479 receiving yards, and 3 TDs. Now, I know he opted out, but then... No, sorry, he was going to opt out, came back, and he played the season. Got hurt during the 2020 year, but I'm sure we'll go into that. Frank, what do you got on Mr. Canuck there?
Yeah, he's our big, good old Canadian boy from Edmonton, Alberta. Chuba Hubbard is 6'1", like you said, 208, out of Oklahoma State. He was a 3-star recruit coming out of high school. And Oklahoma State's been known to produce high-quality running backs. There was a guy back in the 80s, Barry Sanders, I think his name was. He comes to mind. He's
wonder why you know that guy.
He never mentions it, never.
It's the one thing I got. Anyways, Chuba's not an exception to that rule. He came out and excelled in the Big 12 conference. He's very solid, if not above average running back. He did very well at the college level. He outperformed his low expectations out of high school. 2019, he had a huge season that pushed him to the top of a lot of people's draft boards. He had 328 attempts, 2,094 yards, 6.4 yards per carry, 21 touchdowns, and 23 receptions for 198 yards. Very similar to Barry's numbers back in 88, if you look at them. I mean, I don't want to make the comparisons, but pretty good college career. He needs to work on his hands a bit. He's not a natural pass catcher. Some pros, he's a very explosive runner. He doesn't need a lot of room. If he gets a little bit of daylight, he can squeeze through and take it to the house. He's very good at reading blocks, and he's quick at changing directions to make broken plays work out. He's got great vision, good footwork. He's a home run hitter, and once he gets past defenders, he can't be caught. He squeezes through the tennis holes, like I said. He's a fantastic athlete. He might be this year's most explosive running back. He's fit for any team that runs a zone run, like the Bears, Falcons, and Dolphins. I think run the most zone running. So a team like that would be a great fit for him. He's the kind of guy that could just take a single touch and change a game. Some bad things I saw between 2019 and 2020. He didn't make too many improvements on the bad stuff that he did. He doesn't seem interested in pass protection whatsoever. He, like I said earlier, he's raw as a pass catcher. We haven't really seen him run any routes other than swings, flats, and screen passes. So it's questionable if he can develop as a receiver. He does seem to have soft hands, so he just needs to work on the route running, and he could develop into a receiver, but we haven't seen anything yet. It would be good to have the combine to see him in the passing game. He'd be good in the NFL in a role similar to Latavius Murray, where you can get 10 to 12 touches in a game, and he can be like a change of pace kind of guy. I wouldn't trust him as a 3-down bell cow in the NFL.
Yeah, you hit pretty well all the points that I had there too, Frank. I got him as a number 2 RB in a committee for sure. Yeah. Could take over with an injury and maybe flourish into something better. But the biggest things to good wise, I mean, he's very good mental processing, so he understands the blocking schemes and how to defend the gaps. And he knows like if he knows to go behind his line and make defenders miss. But you're right, you hit it on the head there that he's a liability as a pass protector, and he brings the same physicality as a blocker. He just does when he's processing the ball, so he needs a little bit of work there. And I think with that little bit of work, he could be a little bit better as he goes. But like I said, he's drafted in the top 4. If he gets into a committee, if he goes number 1 to be the guy, could he flourish? Yeah, he might, but he might need a little bit of help. Might need a backup number 2 that can take some of the carries away to give it to him. So maybe not a 60-40 split kind of if he does become the number 1. But that's what we're looking at. So, but expect him to be one of the top guys drafted this year.
Oh, definitely.
Let's go to number 3, Javonte Williams out of North Carolina, 5'10", 220 pounds. His 3 years at North Carolina, he finished with 2,297 rushing yards, 29 touchdowns, 539 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns. Gentlemen, what do you guys have on Javonte?
Look, boys, I cannot hype up Javonte Williams enough coming into my fantasy drafts. I've got nothing but positive things to say about Javonte. He was my sleeper pick at the beginning of the season, but the more the college football season went on, the more and more hype this cat was receiving, and the harder it was for me to keep him a secret. Personally, I'm not telling anyone to do this, but personally, I would feel comfortable drafting Williams ahead of Travis Etienne as the RB2 in the class. He's a better pass blocker, which means more playing time in the NFL. He's more physical. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He shows elite elusiveness. Every year, his numbers got better than the last. And to be honest, if the 6th-ranked running back we had here in Mike Carter wasn't there in the UNC backfield, which they were the best 1-2 punch in college football, there's no doubt in my mind that Javonte wouldn't be fighting for that RB1 spot. He's got it all, and with the one thing that some guys that we mentioned prior here were missing, he's got the size. Coming in at 220, his contact balance and ability to break tackles is second to none. He almost never goes down on first contact, which for fantasy is great. Every yard, every inch counts. So in 2019, he was all ACC second team with 1,140 rushing yards, 19 TDs, and he also gobbled up 25 passes for 305 yards and 3 tutties. He's projected by me to be a weekly starter, in my opinion, coming into the NFL. Just please, if you get a chance, watch his film, watch his tape, and as the kids say these days, Javonte Williams to the moon.
Yeah, man, I agree. I mean, he is like everything he did this year, and in 2019 when he did all that stuff. It's just he's skyrocketed in all draft stock and all of that of what type of a player and running back he really is. And the types of traits that he brings to this game, the physicality, the agility, the cuts, the vision, everything that this kid has is just, it's at another level almost. Is he in that, that the Etienne and the Najee Harris level? He may be just underneath, but honestly, he's right there close to at least Etienne. And like you said, yeah, I mean, I would feel comfortable drafting him second overall instead of Etienne as well. That's just how good this Javonte Williams kid is. And honestly, I can see him going into the NFL in a day 2. I don't know if he'll drop to day 3. He might, but definitely a day 2, day 3 pick. And he honestly could fit a huge role in having like a team where that needs an immediate high intensity, high level running back, like, the Steelers who have no running back right now. The Falcons, the Dolphins need a running back that can be that type of high-level guy who has a backup type running back with them that, helps split it out and helps do that thing. There's very, very, very limited negatives about Javonte Williams right now. The only real things that I've seen, and honestly, it's not even that bad. I mean, he's always trying to hit that big play. Instead of taking what's really coming at him, he tries to get that big runoff, that highlight reel play. But honestly, what kind of running back don't you want
the guy
to
you
try
want
and
on
do
your
that,
team,
right?
man.
So like, exactly.
you
So
want.
that's the type of player that this
Yeah.
kid is, and I can see that throughout. So I'm drafting him high in all rookie drafts that I have, especially in Devy drafts.
And he's
too,
20. 20 years old, coming into
is
the
20.
NFL as a
Yep.
dynasty running back. You know, that's like I said in a prior episode, I like my running backs young and fresh. So let's get Javonte Williams train rolling here.
All right, I like it. It was 2 and 3 were tough depending on who was looking at what. I know we were going back and forth on it. So, but at number 2, Travis Etienne from Clemson, 5'10", 205 pounds. Heisman voting in 2018, he finished 7th. In 2019, he finished 9th. He finished with career numbers 4,952 rush yards, 70 touchdowns, 1,155 receiving yards, and 8 touchdowns. So the numbers speak for themselves there, but I'll just go over some of the stuff here in what I've found and seen on him. He has 42 career starts with the Tigers. He had 686 carries for that 4,952 yards. He was averaging 7.2 yards per carry. Crazy. 70 touchdowns. He had 102 receptions, so he can catch the ball as well. He rushed for over 1,600 yards in 2018 and 19. He ends his career as the ACC's all-time leading rusher and TDs, most games in FBS history, with a TD of 46 games. He's one of only 12 players in FBS history with 4,000 plus yards rushing and 1,000 plus yards receiving. He had 22.1 yards per kick return, so he did a little bit of that as well, just in case, the other stuff wasn't enough. 3-time first team AP All-American. The numbers just are crazy. Rushed for nearly 2,500 yards his senior year of high school, averaging 11 yards per carry, over 7,500 career rushing yards. Like it's crazy as you just continue to go into it. But anyways, a little bit about him. His burst and contact balance make him a big play back. Obviously, he can catch or he can run depending on which way he's going. He's grown as a receiver and he's gotten even better, which makes him a nightmare matchup for the linebackers in coverage. His tape reveals too many instances where he is tardy to diagnose pressure and schemes, which is something that could be a little bit against him, but they say that he makes up with that with his ability to break free afterwards. Overall, the grips with Etienne's game are minor, and he has the upside to become one of the NFL's most dangerous offensive weapons, depending on which team he goes to. He's definitely a featured back. He definitely will be a guy that could take you 3 downs, depending, again, on which team they put him on. We said that about a few guys last year as well, and they got stuck on a team with a bunch of other running backs, and that kind of hurt them a little bit until they broke free. But if he gets onto a team that they don't have a running back right now, maybe like a Jets, maybe like Miami, something in that range there that's looking for a running back, he could take off and just be dangerous.
Yeah, I'd like to see him run a little bit more diverse routes in the passing game. We ran a lot of simple stuff. In the NFL, I think if he's going to be a pass-catching back, he's going to have to develop as a route runner. Like you said, he's not great in pass protection, kind of like Chuba. So a lot of coaches, they demand a running back to be a good pass protector, to protect the franchise quarterback. So hopefully he can pick up on that. But as far as running the ball, he's got the speed and skill necessary to make him an elite runner. I mean, he's an absolute playmaker.
Yeah, I've heard he could end up in Pittsburgh. I've heard he could end up. There's a few different places that they may take him, depending between him, Najee, and obviously Javonte. There's a few places that they could all three go, and they're just saying if they get on these teams, these guys could be lightning rods where you're drafting them in the first round, possibly second of all of drafts, whether it's redraft, whether it's keeper, whether it's obviously dynasty, of course, too. But so. At number 1, Najee Harris out of Alabama, 6'2", 330 pounds. Heisman voting, he finished 5th in 2020. His career yards for rushing were 3,843 with 46 touchdowns. He caught 781 receiving yards and 11 touchdowns. Guys, what do you guys have on Harris?
No hot takes here, no clickbait in this podcast. We got Najee Harris as the number one running back for a reason. One of the guys on this esteemed panel here is very high on Najee Harris, so I didn't have to do too much research on him, and I've watched him. I know what he can do. I know what the tape says about him, but I know Nick is really big on Najee Harris. I know he has him in a couple of the leagues. I know he's looking to draft him. So Nick, the floor is yours. The mic is yours. Take it away, and just, you don't need to sell us on Najee Harris, but just tell us why he's in RB1, brother.
I mean, I've been waiting to talk about Najee for the whole episode, man. I'm so excited about this running back. I mean, he is going to be the next top running back that we're all talking about in the NFL. That's the type of skill that this kid has. He was a 5-star recruit out of high school. He had 29 offers from different colleges. And out of those 29, instead of picking a college where he could be the number one running back and just start out right away, he decided to choose a college that had not only Damian Harris, who's a starter in the NFL right now for New England, but also had Josh Jacobs as the running back as well. And not only were those running backs there, but Najee Harris ended up taking over and being more productive than both of those running backs as I believe, in the first year, he had more yards per carry at least and more output for every touch he had. And then in the next years after that, he took over as the main guy. His total average yards per carry throughout college was about around 6 yards per carry, which is pretty decent. He's always picking up yards. A big plus in Najee's game is that, you know, he's always falling forward, gaining the few extra yards that you need and gaining those extra yards that you want to move those chains in the NFL or in a college football team. What's big about Najee Harris is his rare size. But not only is he a big running back, he has lots of speed and he knows how to use his size to his advantage. He turns into a huge power rushing running back, and he can be explosive just as easily though as well and take off through those holes. He uses his vision very well, and he waits for blockers to take out defenders and finds the hole so that he can make those big plays. He can get skinny through those holes as well, even though he has such a big size. So that's another big benefit of just how elusive this running back can be. Another big thing is that, you know, he has fluid route running, and his pass catching ability is actually very decent for a running back. So he's used in the rushing game as well as the passing game, and that's huge in all types of NFL looks where all these teams want more, you know, running back styles, but also I can use him in the pass catching game, and I can just have him out there on the field whenever I need him, and I know I can trust him. But the other big factor is that, you know, he can do all those, but he can also pass block, and he's, with his size, he's known to take on defenders. You know, he's not scared of any defender rushing at him or rushing at his quarterback. He's going to get in the way and block and protect his quarterback because he's that big. So really, you know, I can pump up Najee Harris as much as I want. The stats are all there. The videos are all there. I mean, there's minimal impacts of what he could do to make his game better. Occasionally dropping the ball because he's thinking kind of too far ahead where I want to go next. Other than that, though, I mean, he's going to be a top running back in the NFL. He can be picked in, you know, potentially low end day 1, high end day 2 for sure. And he's going to fit in and be that main guy, I think, on any team that needs a power horse running back who can be valuable in the rush game and the pass game. And yeah, and fantasy wise, you know, I'm drafting him right away. He's my number 1 running back in rookie, you know, leagues, in dynasty leagues. He's the main guy this year, and I think that he deserves it.
Nick, you did him well. You spoke well. You hyped him up to the point where, you know what, he's the RB1. The only thing I have against Najee Harris is maybe his age coming into the NFL and the fact that he is coming in as a senior. But I mean, other than that, the guy's a dog, and dogs eat. So draft him if you got a chance to draft him and you need the help. Like Nick said, man, he's the RB1.
I mean, he went back to college, and look what he did this year. He just proved why he's the number
he upped
one.
his
Wow,
draft
what a
stock.
great year
And
he
at
had.
the Senior Bowl,
You know?
practices, he was talking a lot with the Miami coaching staff and stuff like that. So he's I think right now he's tied to Miami as the running back to go there, which would be a great landing spot for him because they don't really have a true RB1 at the moment. So if he goes to Miami,
Right.
It's to the moon.
That's it. I'm excited. To see what he can do.
Brother, me too.
Real excited. But I mean, any of those top 3 running backs that we talked about, even the top 5, I mean, these kids are all going to be pretty darn great in the NFL, I think, and have, successful seasons, careers.
Nick, that's the most enthusiastic I've seen you in a while about someone. So
I'm excited, man.
My game plan is going to be to get him and then trade him to you for half of your team.
Perfect. Thanks.
Way, I figure.
Yeah, what a good.
And that's a little tip for all of you. If one of your co-GMs in the league or whatnot is talking very much about somebody, go get them, and then you can basically turn to them and say, "Okay, I want anything from their team for the guy," and you'll get them. So most of the time. But yes, that's.
I had to give it to Nick. I knew he was enthusiastic coming in. I knew Najee was his guy. I didn't want to take any of the talking points away. I didn't want to take anything away from him. I just wanted to give Nick the floor on that one because I knew how much he was up on Najee Harris coming into the year.
Yeah, no, he did well. So, but those are our top 5 guys. We've now given you the top 15. Like we said, I mean, probably you're drafting 1 to maybe 7, 8-ish. You'll probably be able to get in your drafts. The other guys that were probably, like we said, were probably going to be the backups, and you might look for them down the stretch during the season as picking them up as a replacement if an injury happens or whatnot, or a stash if you're picking up the handcuffs. So definitely look out for that. But again, all these guys, it all depends on where they go, where they get drafted. The top 5 have an easier situation because those are the guys that we think can lead and could be the lead guys. And the other ones, it's going to be a little bit harder, obviously. But remember, we'll touch back to this after the NFL draft, and then we'll go through who stock got even higher or lower based on where they were drafted and what happened to them as well. So, but that's our show for today. Thank you guys for listening. Please follow us at the Fantasy Football War Room on Instagram. And tune in to Thursday for our next episode where we start breaking down the wide receivers, and we're going to start 15 to 11. I know there's a bunch of wide receivers this year, so we got a lot of talk going on. Our rankings were all over the place because nobody could agree on who was where. Aside from I think number 1 was the only one we really agreed on. Other than that, it was all over. So there should be some good talk and discussions coming up. So thank you guys for listening. Again, click subscribe, follow, like, anything you can to help us out would be great. Have yourselves a good night.